So there's a war going on. For those of you that don't know, I mean, there's all kinds of wars going on in the world, but one of the ones that is getting most attention in the news is Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Now, going on this weekend, or last weekend, I guess, was a quote-unquote referendum in eastern Ukraine, where Russian-occupied cities, after they've killed everyone who supports Ukraine, after they've made everyone leave who supports Ukraine, and after they've tortured and murdered children, have decided to, oh, well, everyone that's left likes us, so let's do a referendum to vote on joining Russia. So anyway, Russia has said, Vladimir Putin has said that if Ukraine or anyone attacks the, quote, Russian motherland, that he is open to using nuclear weapons, and the consequences will be dire, or whatever word he used, right? So he's basically stealing land illegally, and then claiming that land is his, and then claiming if anyone tries to take their own land back, that, he's going to bomb them with nukes. That's basically what he's saying. And so that was over the last weekend. Well, anyway, now we see in the news the U.S. has responded. So, oh boy, that's great. Okay. U.S. warns Russia of catastrophic consequences if it uses nuclear weapons. This is from the New York Times. The comments by the National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan illustrate how quickly the rhetoric has intensified as Russia has faltered on the battlefield in recent months. So, again, this is a very complicated subject. It really is. Again, Russia is an imperialist warmonger. What they're doing in Ukraine is evil and it's disgusting, right? Them threatening to use nuclear bombs, evil and disgusting. I would also say that the U.S. threatening, is this a nuclear threat? I mean, what kind of catastrophic consequence would there be if it doesn't involve the U.S. sending nuclear bombs onto Russia, right? So this is the hell world scenario that we're dealing with here, right? Both countries have said that they're going to nuke each other. If it all depends who's the first to pull the trigger. Mutually assured destruction, right? Maybe, right? Now, I have maintained, if there is a nuclear war, I'm going to live. I maintain I'm going to hide in my basement. It's going to be like Fallout 3. I'm going to hide in the goddamn vault. I've got cans for days and months and years in my basement. I'll be fine. But the world's going to be fucked. Now, again, I'm just going to read this a little bit and then I'll go on. President Biden's national security advisor said on Sunday that the United States had warned Russia that there would be catastrophic consequences, that's the phrase, for the country if Moscow used nuclear weapons and its increasing desperation to hold on to territory in Ukraine, adding that in recent days the U.S. has spelled out how the world would react in private conversations with Russian officials. The advisor, Jake Sullivan, repeated the comments several times in 3 Sunday television interviews, though he left deliberately vague whether those consequences would be military, economic, or diplomatic. I don't know, man. Someone says, I'm going to drop a nuke in Ukraine. You're saying there's going to be a catastrophic consequence if you drop a nuke in Ukraine. We have the largest nuclear arsenal of any country. I don't know, man. Pretty scary. Officials were quick to say that they still had not seen any movement in Russia's stockpile of 2,000 or so small tactical weapons, which can be launched from short or medium-range missiles, despite President Vladimir V. Putin's threats in a televised address last week with, that is, quote, "This is not a bluff." But Mr. Sullivan's use of the word catastrophic as a deliberately ambiguous warning of a major, if almost certainly non-nuclear, why would it be non-nuclear? Answer me this question, right? The U.S., official U.S. policy is they bully and threaten everyone in the world with the U.S. military, right? The U.S., the only country to really ever use nuclear bombs. Let's be honest, right? I don't know, man. Why would anyone think catastrophic means non-nuclear? Why would anyone think that? I don't know. I don't think anyone thinks that. But New York Times seems to, I guess they want to downplay the nuclear threat. I read catastrophic consequences as a threat for nuclear retaliation. That's how I read it. Response to a Russian nuclear detonation illustrated how quickly the rhetoric has intensified as Russia has faltered on the battlefield in recent months. In late May, Mr. Biden wrote a guest essay in the New York Times in which he said any use of nuclear weapons in this conflict on any scale would be completely unacceptable, as well as the rest of the world and to us as well as the rest of the world and would entail severe consequences. So maybe they're implying that they've made a secret deal with China where it's like, or Iran, or hey, probably not, but maybe North Korea. I don't know. If whoever uses nukes, everyone else is going to bully the shit out of them. Maybe, you don't need nuclear weapons in that scenario. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe China would launch a nuke on Moscow and they wouldn't see that coming. Otherwise, right? I don't really see, what possible catastrophic consequence could you make? Right? I don't know. We saw the sanctions going on. That didn't really work. The Russian currency is going back up, right? So the sanctions haven't really worked. So diplomatic consequences, what are those? I don't see that happening, right? So militarily, using, what is NATO going to invade Russia? If NATO invades Russia, in a ground invasion or an air invasion, and Russia's already used a nuclear bomb on Ukraine, why would Russia not just use another nuclear bomb in a NATO country, right? I really don't see where the non-nuclear part of this is, okay? I really don't see where that is. American intelligence officials said they still believe the chances that nuclear weapons will be used in the conflict are low. Now, I don't know what that means. How do you factor that in? Can we see the formula? But they believe these chances are significantly higher than they were in February and March because Mr. Putin has lost confidence in the ability of his ground troops to hold territory, much less take over Ukraine. Mr. Sullivan is a longtime student of nuclear escalation risks, and he has been walking a fine line between orchestrating repeated warnings to the Russians and avoiding statements that could prompt Moscow to raise the stakes, perhaps by beginning to move weapons toward the border in a menacing show of seriousness. He indicated as much on ABC's This Week on Sunday. Quote, "We have communicated to the Russians what the consequences would be," Mr. Sullivan said. "But we've been careful in how we talk about this publicly because from our perspective, we want to lay down the principle that there would be a catastrophic consequence, but not engage in a game of rhetorical tit for tat." Okay. Hold on. So, we don't want to engage in tit for tat rhetoric. Meanwhile, we're going to be catastrophic. There's going to be catastrophic consequences. I don't know, man. That seems tit for tat to me. I don't know. It's a little scary. You can read the rest of this. It's pretty scary. But I don't know why New York Times has this gradient. Maybe it has to do with the way that my ad blocker is functioning. But that's pretty weird. Anyway, is there going to be a nuclear conflict? I hope not. It would be pretty darn scary if there were. But I'm going to go out here and say that I'll be fine. So don't worry about me. If there's a nuclear shit going on, I'll be okay. I'll be fine. Worry about yourself. Worry about your dogs. I would say worry about your kids, but honestly, fuck those kids. That's just a liability. But go get your dogs. I don't know, man. I really don't think that either country wants to use nuclear weapons, right? I hope not. Right, but I don't know. Putin says he's going to use nukes or willing to use nukes if people attack Russia. He says the eastern Ukraine is now Russia. Ukraine says that that's Ukraine, right? Internationally, it is Ukraine. Do the reasons matter? Think about this, right? Once the nuke is launched, whatever reasoning or whatever, it doesn't matter. Nothing matters. Once the nuclear bomb is launched, nothing matters, right? Whatever happened before is irrelevant, right? But these motherfuckers are crazy. I don't know what to tell you. We live in a world where all of our world leaders are fucking crazy. They're all fucking crazy. They're fucking crazy. Every single world leader is fucking Looney Tunes, okay? They're killing each other over magical lines in the sand, right? They draw a line on a piece of paper and then say, "I'm going to murder you and your whole family over this piece of paper's line." What? What? You know what I mean? What? Why? Grown, not children, crying over who gets what part of the sandbox. Grown adults are drawing on pieces of paper and saying, "That's mine! No, that's mine!" Grown adults. This is psychosis, man. I need you to understand. This is like these people are unwell. Like, imagine what has to go through your mind for you to be 70 years old, however old Putin is, and threaten to destroy the whole world because of a magical piece of paper with a drawing of a line on it? Jesus fucking Christ. You know what I mean? Wow. That's crazy shit. But again, this is how we orchestrate our society. We elect the dumbest among us. I mean, look at the UK. Look at Italy. Look at what's going on in Sweden. We, as human beings, elect and support and endorse the stupidest motherfuckers on this planet to make all of our decisions. Isn't that crazy? Think about that. The dumbest motherfuckers ever made, ever being spawned on this planet are the ones in charge. Bolsonaro? My God. Donald Trump? Joe Biden? Jesus. Some stupid ass motherfuckers, man. So, everyone is responsible for this. All of humanity, I gotta say. All of humanity is responsible for this shit. This is what happens when you let adult children become leaders of countries. What the fuck, man? So, anyway, hopefully we don't all die, but I'm a little nervous. I'm not gonna lie.